Good morning. We always do the same
Right.
head turn. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. It's actually been a pretty good week.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of relaxing. Not too
Yes.
much.
Well, I feel like Wednesday, Thursday was busy, but not overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything went really smooth, so that made it, not feel hectic for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there was parts when it's like, can you get batteries? Can you get change? Da-da-da-da. Can you da-da-da-da? Then you get there. Oh, I asked somebody else too, so
Mm-hmm.
okay.
No.
Next time I just won't do it.
Next time, just don't ask
That added
me.
30 minutes to my time.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
We'll get
can get
started.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on our podcast. This is Talk to Them. My name is Kenitha Wade.
And I'm Renata Mitchell.
And today we plan to talk about, we were going to continue a conversation that we had last week. And it was about the effects of social media on friendships and family relationships and kind of how that looks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that kind of came up this week that we thought would be good to talk about was the stages of grief and how that shows up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
in all kinds of relationships, not just when you lose someone.
yeah, in any situations, in any situation that can be dramatic, a big change to a situation can cause you to have grief. Friendships, relationships, the loss of friends and family members, things like that.
Yeah.
And then what else were we going to talk about?
All the events.
Yeah, our upcoming events.
How events have went since we podcasted last.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. All right. So, we got a lot to talk about. And then we have a whole bunch of folks signed up. So for the next couple of months, hopefully you guys will get to meet some awesome people that we know on the podcast who get to come and share their story and help us to really turn this into what we want it to be.
Yeah.
Which is a podcast where we're listening to other people's stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling our story. I mean, I don't mind talking to you all the time, you know what I'm saying, and telling our stories. But the point was
right.
to highlight other people's stories. So
yeah. All right. So let's get to it.
Okay.
Last week when we were talking about, because I think the conversation came about the effects of social media on friendships was also kind of a part of the conversation of how to maintain friendships, right? Especially in adulthood, where the focus is more on, here go this leaky eye of mine, where the focus is more on work-life balance, figuring out how to make sure you have time for your kids and make sure you have time for your relationship and work and sleep and self-care and all those things. And then in addition to, sometimes I think the friendships get put on the back burner because it seems like all those other things are very important, that sometimes we lack in that department of maintaining friendships. And in my opinion, honestly, I think maintaining those friendships is a part of self-care, because what we get out of those encounters with our friends we can't even calculate the benefit of it and what it does for us as an individual. So what are some ways that you feel like, for one, you take measures towards maintaining friendships? And then how do you think social media can impact some of your friendships?
That's loaded for me in a couple ways, right? So how do I go about it? In a lot of ways I can be better with some of my friends. I feel like it's easier to maintain your friendships when your lives intermingle.
Yes.
Like what makes our friendship easy, besides the fact that we, have so much in common, we're a lot alike, is that we have so much going on together. Or even if we weren't doing the things together, I would still attend your things, you would still attend my things, because the interest is there. So it makes it it takes some of that purposeful effort out of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's mindful, purposeful, but it's like the energy to do it is already there.
It's
right?
effortless because it's
Right.
like, I'm really interested in this. So this is going to be beneficial in multiple ways.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I have a lot of really good friends that I don't see as often, but that's because we all have our most common thing is that we're friends and we love each other, but we all have way different things going on in our lives. And like my friend group, sometimes it's really, really hard to get us all together on one day. And but when we first started hanging out, it was no problem. We could all get together, all find time, and then, life starts lifing and, swings people in different directions. We also used to all live closer together. So I think that made it easier too. But like we're getting together on the 9th and we're gonna, one of our friends is leaving the state or whatever. So we have to do, one more gathering or whatever before she goes. And I feel like with social media, um, it impacts friendships in a lot of ways, right? Like, oh, I see her hanging out with her, but she always saying she ain't got time to, whoop. Or one of mine that used to be real personal for me, but like I've just grown around it is posting all my events and stuff like that, and my folks not coming. And always hearing people say, "Oh, your main clientele, your main market is not going to be your friends and family." And in my head, I'm like, "Why wouldn't it be?" Because I'm
Right.
that for like you post something. If I can get there, I'm gonna get there. If not, I'm gonna let people know that can get there. Like, hey, go do this, and it's not reciprocated. One of those fairy tale ideologies I had. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gone now. I feel like it's more like whoever shows up is who is supposed to be there. And then that's what it's supposed to be. But that can make you feel some type of way towards, like y'all don't support me, and even though I was never huge on that, I'm just saying like it can really get like that. I've seen it get like that for people. I just assume people are busy, but I would really like if people knew they were coming, just say, yeah, they coming. They, bought their tickets or they did this or they blah, blah, blah. And that's great. But if you're not sure, don't be like, yeah, I'm coming, blah, blah, blah. It don't bother me now. But for people who are coming into doing events and stuff like that, I'm asking your loved ones not to do that to you. Because there's a process where you're like, so-and-so said they were coming and they're not here, blah, blah, blah. And then you getting your little feelings for a minute. So,
right.
And then you see, oh, they was out with so-and-so doing blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Oh, they go to so-and-so's events or, like it's all this stuff. Social media has it's great, right? Because you can stay connected to people, you can market, network, whatever. And it's great. But at the same time, it can make you think some stuff is going on that's not going on. Just because you see so-and-so together all the time. Like, I know people who are like, oh, I was hanging out with them during this time because I was doing some shit I know you wouldn't approve of. And the whole time you sit there like, well, why won't my friend hang out with me? And you thinking it's something about you. No, they're in a space that they know that you would hold them accountable for. So they don't want to be around you. And then you can be sitting there with bitter feelings about it, or it's not always that. And then sometimes, like, I have friends that really like to turn up. I'm not a turn up person. They might see me with you every single day for 6 months. And they're going to be like, well, you hang out with her all the time because she's not trying to drag me to the club.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I feel like on social media, I see people hanging out and doing stuff. And it's like, why didn't they invite me to that? Or why nobody asked me if I wanted to go, But at the same time, I think, people assume that you're busy or people just look at the regular order of things and how they tend to go and just fall back into that kind of routine of like, oh, well, they probably can't go, so I'm not even going to waste my time.
Or she don't normally like doing stuff like this.
Right.
So that's not.
Or, and I think, or just when you throw stuff out there, sometimes I think it's a good reminder. Like sometimes you just throw it out there, even if you think the person's going to turn it down, because you never really know what somebody is doing or what their plans are. And I think the reason I initially brought it up is because I had went and hung out with some friends last week, and it was, we see what each other's doing on social media, but not often. I mean, we just complain about how we can never get together. But instead of that, it's like just invite people. Just invite somebody to do something. And if they show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. But like continuing to complain about the lack of opportunities, if you're not helping to create opportunities to hang out with your friends, who is that on? It's not on the other folks also. It's on you too. Everybody has a part in it.
Yeah, we do that in our group chat. Even if it's like, I'm going to put it in here, even if I know that more than likely you all are busy, because I know that you got basketball, you got swim, your kids is in cheer, and you know what I'm saying, all this stuff. But at this time, I'm going to be here.
Right.
You never know. And it's like, people are like, oh, I can't make it. And it's like, no worries. I was just putting it out there if it's something y'all
don't
might
feel
want to be
guilty.
interested in. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can make it, you can. If not, that's okay too.
I think I feel guilty when I throw out the last minute invites.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, well, because how my life works is I'm busy every day. I'm busy from the time I wake up in the morning until I pass out at night most days. And so when I get free time, a lot of the times it comes at the last minute. And it's not always something I could have foreseen, or there's a change in the schedule. And now I don't have to take kids here and there. And so my chauffeur duties have ended for the day. And it's like, ooh, I can go see my friends, or I can go do this. Let me call somebody. And I think as I recognize now, as soon as I know it's about to be one of those moments, I'll throw something in the chat like, hey, anybody free to go do this? And because I live on the moon, I mean, according to all my friends, I live in Gresham, and everybody still lives in Portland, inner north and northeast Portland. And so I'm the one that's far away. And it's not like I'm not about to drive all the way to Portland if I ain't about to see nobody.
Right.
I'm going to drive to Portland and go hang out if I know at least one person is going to show up. Otherwise, I save my little gas and my time and go home and take a nap, because I probably need one anyway, and just go home. But once in a while, especially when I know I got to go pick up kids or something over there in Portland, and I'm like, but I could find a couple hours in this little moment. Maybe somebody wants to hang out and just kind of throw it out there. I've noticed on Thursdays are my light days. And so in my mind, I'm like, on Thursdays, I'm going to see about happy hour somewhere in Portland and see if my friends want to join me, and try to make it a regular thing until this Thursday was Halloween. Yeah. And I was like, and I had an event planned, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, ooh, it's Thursday. I'll go hang out with my friends. And they were like, my best friend Ebony, are you coming to the Halloween thing at SEI? I was like, oh, no, it's Halloween. I got to go. I got a show. Yeah. I forgot it's Thursday. I forgot Halloween was on Thursday.
I know. I was like, why was Halloween? A Thursday is not a good day.
No.
I mean, it's a great day to have a show, but it was not a good day to have a show this month, because
it was a bad day for Halloween.
Hectic. Yeah, because it was Halloween.
Yeah. Well, and PPS didn't have school on Friday.
Right.
Which was cool. That's great. But Gresham had school on Friday. And so half my kids was at home and the other half was at school the day after Halloween, eating all this candy and whatever else. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But social media, how it affects friendships. I think a lot of times we do. I know I scroll on social media when I'm bored.
Me too.
And you know how it's selective now. It used to be that it showed it at the times that people posted stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so you could see the latest posts and then it would go in that order. And now it's kind of random, whatever it chooses to show you on social media.
6 days ago, an hour ago. What?
Yeah, it's so random. Like, how do you figure out whose information you gonna show me at this time? Like, well, what if I want to see so-and-so? I got to search them up.
And I just seen somebody's story and I was like, so because they don't, do that, I hadn't seen a post from one of my virtual friends in a very long time. And I went on his page like, last time I remember seeing a poster of him, he was in the hospital, like, and he hasn't said anything about his raggedy old Eagles. So let me go. Let me go see. You know, sometimes people get locked off their page and they send you a friend request or whatever. I'm a Cowboys fan. I hate the Eagles.
Why they gotta be raggedy though?
Because they raggedy.
Okay.
They beat up Santa. They fans did.
They beat up Santa. So that falls on the team.
Yeah.
That's their fault.
Yeah.
And forget the fans.
They do it to us. Okay. So yeah. That's why Ike's and I beef.
I watched the Niners game.
Nobody cares.
Oh.
Okay. So
okay, sorry.
I went on his page and he passed away in September.
Oh man.
And I was like, that's weird because he had posts, but Facebook wasn't showing them to me. And because I don't know him personally, I only know him like, I mean, we go back Facebook like, I don't know how many years to the beginning of Facebook when it was like public or whatever. And we've been talking football back and forth, and it's like, if he's posting, that's somebody I should see in my regular thread. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes I won't see anything you post at all, and then all of a sudden it'll be all these posts from a couple days ago, and I'm like, y'all, I know they be spying, so they know our phones is next to each other all the time. Why are you not showing me her post? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand the algorithms and how they get figured out.
I don't either.
How that works out. But it is interesting. So there are certain people I go search. And I guess that's one thing about the feed. I mean, I guess you want to see what the newest thing somebody posted, you just check out their feed.
I just be thinking, but in my head, like if I don't see something like you recently posted, I'll be like, oh, well, she must not have recently posted anything. That's how my brain works while I'm scrolling. Oh, this is the most recent stuff from the people that I interact with on Facebook. And then you don't go that far, right? It's not like at some point you're bored, you get bored of scrolling too. And you stop wherever you stop. There's probably a whole bunch of stuff you ain't
missed everything. Yeah. It's it also gives you a false sense of kind of knowing people, I feel like.
Yes.
There are many times when somebody would come up to me or I'd be somewhere and they'd be like, hey, Kenitha. And I'm like, hey, like, who are you?
Yeah.
And they were like, we're Facebook friends. And it's like, okay, we might have met and maybe we've crossed paths a few times and I might accept your friend request. But that tiny little picture that shows up on my phone, I can't see who that is. So when I see you in person, it's not that I don't care or no, I just can't. Sometimes there's a disassociation.
There absolutely is.
Yeah, you in person and you online are two different things to me and they don't automatically merge when I see you.
Even if you look like you on social media.
Yes.
Because that is a picture and I see that same picture all the time. You live and in person is like you said, that's different. I met this one guy who came up to me randomly one day and I was at the store and he was like, I hope this ain't weird, but we friends on social media. We don't know each other. He said, I just wanted to let you know that you look like you in person. And I was like, okay. Oh, and then, like this was like when we just started finding out about catfishing and stuff like that. And I was like, in my head, I'm slow. So I was like, why wouldn't I look like me? Like, who would I look like? What are you talking about? And it was just so funny because then it started unfolding like the catfishing and the, what do they call it? The photoshopping of the face and all that stuff started really good. And I was like, oh, that's what he meant. Like people was already doing it. I had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, when there be people all the time that even people that I talk to regularly on social media and I see them in person, they be like, hey, Renata. And I'm like, hey. And then I turn to somebody like you or Ari or something. I'm like, who is that? And Ari be like, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, hey. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Oh, now I get it.
But yeah, I think too, because I've had people say stuff like, oh yeah, see you, depending on what I'm wearing or, what I'm doing, who's in the pictures with me. Yeah, you over there, da-da-da-da. Based off of a picture, like I've gotten bad. I need to get better. But usually it's like you take pictures with everybody in there, and then even random people if they want to take pictures with you or whatever to highlight the event. That's the whole point. Why is it a problem? Like, friends or romantically involved people want to dissect the picture. You wasn't there. You don't know what was going on. You could have been though. Could have been. But
you probably should have been.
Yeah, but you're not. But you want to dissect my pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it can cause a little bit of a jealousy in all kinds of ways, like in friendships, in relationships, in non-relationships, whatever category you want to put those in.
Mm-hmm.
Family too. Because I've had my moments where I'm like, dang, my family member always hanging out with all these people. When I'm like, hey, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm like, are we not? I'm just going to say cousins just to throw in a title. Are we not cousins anymore? Or like, what, or, whatever the family member is. But I feel like like I said, with the intertwining thing, I understand it from my perspective. So I need to start understanding it. Not start, but that was a thought process. I needed to start understanding it from their, point of view as well. It's the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just another dynamic, another level of something that you got to consider.
Right.
Right. It's easy to get in your feelings. I know I sure be in my feelings. Like, this person ain't responded to my text messages or my messages, my instant messenger, but they on whatever, Facebook or Instagram, or they doing this, or you can see they online, but they ain't looked at none of your messages. It makes you feel kind of like, so what am I?
Right. Like, you own here. But, I be telling people too, like, sometimes for me, that thing might be on there and I'm sitting here holding my phone with a video like paused or whatever. And my daughter is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So it looks like I'm on social media, but I'm not.
Not really.
I'm waiting for her to get done with her story and interacting with her, but I don't want to lose this video. So I'm like, or whatever, or it's on and I got up and I walked away from my phone.
Right.
Come back in the same video still playing. And I was like, they got all these views off me.
Right. Does it continue to count with every time you view it?
I don't know. I would think so. Because, it says play. Like, sometimes it'll say, like, when you post a reel, it'll say, well, no, I'm talking about when you do it from, like, the creator side. It'll say 239 views on 12 unique accounts. So, like, 12 people, between these 12 people, it's been viewed 239 times.
Oh, okay.
So it does count.
Okay. That makes sense.
I don't know how it counts on the getting paid side of it, but.
That's good to know. I've been making my reels lately. I told you my kids.
Yeah.
I've been learning how to really try to use social media, like outside of just updating things that I'm feeling in the moment, but using it for business and using it to be visible online. And so I've been creating more reels, and it reminds me, like when my oldest son was little, that's when Facebook really first started out. Like, Facebook was for college students at first. You had to have a college email account in order to have a Facebook account. And that's when I got my Facebook. And then it opened up publicly after that. But I used to use it all the time. So there's so many pictures of me and my oldest son when he was little. Like, everything. We took pictures of everything we did. And now that I have all these children, because I have a lot of children, I barely take pictures. I'm like, and I wish that I did more, but now I think I'm really focused on it. And it's like, I need to create, stuff. And I want to remember these moments, or, I take them out to eat and they act silly and they get in fights. And sometimes I roll my eyes at them, but I'm like, let me just take a picture to document this moment because this is funny. And so lately that's been my thing. Everywhere I go, I'm taking a picture of my kids getting tired. Mom, another picture. And they do all these things, cover their face and whatever. Like, they don't want to be seen. But, and I'm like, well, I'm going to put this on social media. And they're
just like this.
Oh my gosh, mom. And it's like, y'all be all right. It's memories, because when you get over, you're going to look on my social media account. You're going to see your face and be like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Oh, that was fun, And so I've been learning
only
more
two
and more.
Of the kids, I think, are always photo ready.
Yeah.
We're not on Mayana. Like, oh, you want a picture? Yes, let's take a picture. Donald's like, absolutely not.
Mariah is always photo ready. She spend enough time in the bathroom.
She be photo ready, but she don't be wanting to take pictures.
She'd be like,
that's what I mean by always ready to take a picture. Them two is like, I don't care.
You can take a picture of Mayana. It don't matter. Yeah. Don't matter what she look like.
That's Renata too. Let's take a picture. What you want? She could have red smashed across her. Like, what? Yes, let's take a picture. The rest of them be like,
no,
no press, please.
Right, be doing this. She give me the thumbs down, cover her face. Like, this is dumb, Mom. Whatever.
I remember I had to like plead with her to show her face in the pictures at Renata's party, the skate party.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, please. I was like, your face. She was like, I don't want this. I was like, your face is beautiful. She was like, basically, like, she wanted to tell me, I don't give a fuck. She didn't say it, but her face said it.
Mm-hmm. She'd be really self-conscious about her pictures.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think that's been a concern, I guess, in my house with these girls, especially going to high school. And social media plays such a big part in their life. But watching the changes and the concerns for the way they look and how much they weigh and all these things that just, for me, I feel like they wreak havoc on their mental state. You know, looking at one of my kids in particular, like she's really concerned about her weight, and she's not big at all. She's very skinny and she barely has any fat on her body. But you would think when this girl see her weight on the scale, you would think this child is big. But in her mind, it's like, oh my God, that's too big of a number. It's like, girl, please, you know how tall you are? You know how skinny you are? Like, you are skinny. You're not big. There's nothing wrong if you had more weight on your body. You would be all right.
She'd be all right. She could put a decent amount more weight on her and be okay.
You could put a lot more and you would still be fine, you know? But so why are you concerned with these couple pounds here and there? And I think back to, I guess, my mental state at that age. I remember thinking I was a big kid. I used to think I was just fat because I was bigger than most girls. I had a lot of muscle.
That was me too.
And so I just used to always feel like I was a big girl. But I look back at pictures in middle and high school, it's like I was not very big. But in my mind, though, I was. And so I get it to a degree, but I'm like, how do you help them to see the reality and not focus so much on?
And that's weird, right? Because like same thing, like I was always thicker than the other girls, but it was never like, oh, you're 500 pounds. But in my head, even though I was still comfortable with myself, couldn't tell me nothing. I was still in my head like, oh, just a huge person. But that was like in me in my head, comparing me to the size of girls who didn't play sports and weren't shaped like me and, you know, developed like I was or whatever. It was a comparison thing. Like, I'm physically looking at you being physically smaller than me, even though I'm okay with myself in my head. And it also didn't help my aunt was putting that in my head too. And then thinking like, well, what are you comparing yourself to that makes you think that you're so big? But it's like, that's not what's going on in her head. Her head is that number is big. And it's like, but why do you think that number is big? Because it's not. For you, it's not big. Now, if you 4 foot, then yeah, that number might be big. And it probably, actually, it wouldn't be big. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. The body dysmorphia is a huge thing amongst people. Like, they put it on women, but it's amongst people, guys who be in the gym. Not all guys in the gym, but there's guys in the gym just trying to get more yoked because their muscles are just not defined enough. They look too small, or whatever. Or it goes the other way too, where people are bigger and think they slim and they this and they that. But I mean, I feel like to each their own. That doesn't seem to be too much of a mental health crisis as when you think you're bigger than what you are because of what you'll do to correct it. If it's not, mentally fixed or whatever.
Yeah. She talks about wrestling this year. And I'm like, girl, she wants to wrestle again. Like, she's wrestled before. She's been wrestling. She wrestled in middle school. She really likes wrestling. And every time she gets on the team, though, I'm like, there's some reason I got to pull her off. It's most of the time it's her own activities that she tends to do outside of wrestling that gets her pulled from it. It's like, girl, I can't trust you. I can't trust you really going to practice or whatever else is happening.
My concern for her would be the weigh-ins because, you gotta keep weight.
Well, that's what she said. She's like, "Oh no, I don't want to wrestle in that weight." I'm like, "Girl, you can't afford to lose no more weight."
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then in high school, she's gonna be wrestling guys, and then they're gonna have a lot more muscle than she has.
Right.
And I'm like, you have to understand though, some of your weight it's not fat.
Right.
It's muscle. You have more muscle in your body than most people. You're a very slim person. Like you do have some muscle, but you're gonna have to bulk up. Not necessarily down. Like maybe you could lose a little bit of weight when it comes to wrestling, but not because you're fat.
Right.
And they cut weight crazy.
Yeah.
And I worry about that for her. It's like I don't know that I want her to really be trying to focus on cutting more weight.
Right.
Because she doesn't have a lot of weight to cut in the first place. She's tall. She's like 5'6", maybe 5'7", and very slim. It's like you should be this weight. You're tall enough.
She's not even a lean this way and get a roll kind of person.
No.
She is very slim, and not ragging on her saying she's too thin, she needs to eat. It's nothing like that. It's just saying there's what do they use in the term of the law, or would a reasonable person feel or think or have a reason to believe that she was at all overweight? Not at all whatsoever.
No.
And anybody saying that to her would only be saying that because they know that's an insecurity and to get at her in some way. So I just don't want people to think we're like, oh no, she need to eat a burger, she's too thin. Like, it's not that. She is perfectly proportioned. Like I wish she would see herself
the way other people see her. Yeah. Because what I see, and I guess part in my mind, it's like I need to tell her more. Maybe she needs to hear it more to really believe it. And maybe that's what it is. She hears more of the opposite, or she is online so much or whatever, listening to all these different things, telling her one thing and that's what sticks in her head, but she needs to hear more often. So maybe that's a message for everybody. Let's remind our kids how beautiful they are, how they're fine, and try to help them work through the insecurities they may have, because sometimes that stuff can wreak havoc on the way they think and how they behave and what they really focus on, because they're focused on the wrong thing on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll move into grieving.
The grieving.
Yes, grieving. I called Renata earlier this week. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I keep crying. That's my voice of me, just so y'all know.
It's different than her voice of me. Her voice of me is a little more. It vibrates a little differently.
I move my head like that when I'm doing it too. No, but I called and I had talked to G. I was like, I don't know what is wrong with me. Like, am I pregnant or something? I'm super emotional. I'm crying. I can't stop crying at work. Like, I don't want to be crying at work. And I feel like it's nothing that major, but what the hell am I crying for? And then I had to reflect, like really think about what is bothering me, and then realized that I was angry. I was just so angry. But I was like, you know what? In this whole grieving process, that is the only feeling I have yet to feel. And I mean, I was angry to a degree about the situation, but not angry enough to change the way I showed up. You know what I mean? Like have an attitude and be mean because I'm angry type of a thing. And I felt that's what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I'm out of character. This ain't right. Like, I don't do that. But I did it effortlessly. I was mad. And I was like, I didn't even know I was mad. And so I just thought it was good to kind of bring this up as a topic, because personally, I have grieved a lot of things, but it's not something I ever talk about, the process of grieving. And I'm not completely familiar with all the different stages of it. I feel like that's something you learn maybe when you're going through it and you want to understand what you're feeling, but when you're a person who consistently doesn't allow yourself to feel certain things, like that's not something you focus on. And so that's, as now really getting into my feelings and understanding them and trying to process them properly, I had to sit down and then I had to apologize. And which I thought was funny because here I am apologizing to a person for being mean. But the things that they did, way worse. But never did I ever feel like there was like a true apology that came with the action. But here I'm feeling so guilty that I was just so mean to this person. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to be so mad that I get out of my character because I feel like that's something I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
I tend to stay in control of who I am, and being angry doesn't tend to get me to just be mean to nobody. But I was mean.
And I want to say, as somebody who feels like all of that the same, like, nope, I got to stay in control. I'm not about to let you make me act like this because I am control of me, da 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 da. I mirror all that. I empathize with all that. But as on the outside looking in, as your friend who loves you dearly, I had to say, but you have every right to be angry because that's how you feel. Right. And I hate when people tell people how they're supposed to feel, what they should be thinking, what they should be going through, or what they should or should not be doing emotionally, because whether it is the right response or not, those are your true, authentic feelings in the moment. You know what I mean? And you have to feel them in order to understand where they're coming from, in order to understand what's really bothering you or going on, and being able to work through that. That's how you get through that. And as another person who would, when you process mentally your emotions, you shortcut that process. Like, we're both in this stage where we're trying to feel our feelings, and it's very uncomfortable. We don't like it. 0 stars. But we are both in this space where we're trying to, like, okay, I feel that. What does this mean? And not have it just be a mental space thing, because it's not going to tell you what it means. It's going to tell you what's going on. You feel angry. Does that equate to the situation, the response you need for the situation? Yes or no? And then you go left or right based on that. That's how that works normally. But when you feel it in here, you let all the irrationality of it be what it is, and you have to wade through it, and it's confusing and it's weird and it's uncomfortable. But I think a lot of people already went through this as they grew up going through that. And yes, it's not normal for you to be angry, but it's natural. And were you meaner than you would normally like to be? Maybe. But in that moment, that's where you were. Did you apologize and hold yourself accountable? You did. So
I did. I had to apologize to my husband. I apologized to my kids. And my daughter's like, "It's okay, Mom. You didn't know this." And she started making up excuses for me. And I was like, no, that doesn't make it okay. You know, I know what happened, and I know how I said it and what I said. And it was like, I'm just saying that it's not okay to say that to people, or it's not okay to respond in a negative way like that.
Right.
So I'm apologizing for that. I'm not apologizing for what got me there.
Right.
You know, it's like, but at the same time, I think showing that remorse and going that step, I apologize to my husband, my son, and my daughter, and because they were witnesses to it. You know, it was like, I didn't need to be mean. I was being mean unnecessarily, and that's not okay. And it's okay, Mom. Like, no, but it's not though. I mean, yes, it is. I didn't do anything to hurt anybody.
Right.
You know, I know it's okay, and it's not gonna not be okay, regardless if I apologize or not. But at the same time, the right thing to do is to apologize and to, you know, realize what I did wrong. And it was like, I didn't need to do that. And so I was mean unnecessarily. Anger is just, you know, a part of the process. It was like, oh, you know what? I'm angry about this, and I have yet to be angry about this. And I started really thinking about it. It was like, this is a stage of grieving. And I don't know. I guess I don't get angry that often. Like, I get mad at my kids when they don't listen and stuff like that. But this was different.
Angry is different.
Yeah.
Mad or frustrated or whatever. Angry is heavy.
Yes. It was different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
I just thinking about that, going through. So, like, and my situation being in a different space with someone than they are with you. Um, and because of the way you communicate, they think that everything is just all good, status quo. You said, your peace, nothing's changing, blah, blah, blah. I realized that I go through a grieving process by myself while still trying to figure out if I still want to do this or not. So then by the time that I'm like, I've asked for this, I've asked for that, I've asked you not to do this, not to do that, not in an ultimatum way, but these are my boundaries. And this is what's healthy for me, and this is what I can and cannot accept. And you just still going on with life like everything's all good. I've had, multiple situations in my life where someone has figured out that what they want to do is settle down and be with me, or they want to get back with me or whatever. And I'm like, once I get past anger and move into acceptance, there is no going back for me. Sometimes if you catch me teetering there, it's already too late. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still a little irritated because I don't like to be angry because, like you said, I get very, 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 very mean. And I don't like to be that person. But in my angry state, I have no empathy. I have no sympathy. I have no anything like it. I don't give a damn. You basically just shot my dog in front of me, and it's an eye for an eye at this point. But I'm not coming for your dog. And I don't like to be that person because afterwards it's all this ugly energy bouncing around in me and it makes me uncomfortable. I hate being that person. So I do get why you apologized. But I prefer once I'm in that, coming out of anger into acceptance, that I no longer associate with that person anymore because I'm going to be mean and I don't like it. But just thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about all the times that it has paralleled like that for me. Like, you know how they say, the more times she forgives you, the more you love her, but the less she's loving you, like at the same time. It's literally like that. And I'm going through this. I was sad, I was hurt, I was pleading, I was bargaining, I was doing this. I don't remember all the steps, but then it's anger, like, and then by the time I'm angry, they're to the point to where they're almost ready to be like, blah, blah, but I'm like, I'm combative. I don't like this. I don't like you, like all this stuff. And then it seems like you may be in the same place because once I move to acceptance, there's no more beef, right? Because there's no more feelings. And it seems like a calm space because if there's no beef, there's no reason for tension. But you're moving into a more loving space, so there's no beef and there's no tension. And then when I'm like, I'm good, I don't want to do this anymore, they're all like, what?
Confused.
Like, what? Why? I thought we were good. No, we're good. Like, I don't want to fight you, but I'm good. And it goes like that with friendships too, but I just feel like it resonates more talking about it in a relationship, kind of stance. But
I feel like in friendships, it moves more to like the level in which you trust in that individual anymore. Sometimes you just quit caring about them altogether and then you're just not friends. But sometimes it's also like we still cool.
Yeah.
We just not what we used to be, right?
Yes.
In relationships, I think that's one thing that I'm not unsure of. It's like, what is next? Because I feel like, anger is one of those. I thought it would have been one of the first stages.
That's what you think, and then it comes after all the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I've accepted, I've tried to fix, I've apologized, I've looked at myself, like, what did I do to add to this situation? I've tried to accept it. I try to remove myself. It's like take myself out of it and the why this came about and why this person needs that. Okay. And trying to just accept them for who they are. But now the anger part is just like, well, I thought I was accepting it. Or I'm not necessarily, I feel like I'm accepting my situation. A lot of people don't understand. I'm not going to give into the details or whatever, but just accepting it for what it is. But the angry part makes me feel like, what's to come next? Is that next? I feel like when you give up and you no longer want to go back to what you thought it was, I don't know what comes after that.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, do you stick around? Because I do feel like boundaries plays a big part in it. It's once I get to that point where I really don't care anymore what you do.
Right.
Or it's not my concern. You know, how do you go back? Anyway.
I think when you get in the acceptance area, that's where you decide, is this, am I good, or do I find out? That's where you find out what your new normal is, regardless, right? Whether it's you, okay, this is what we're doing moving forward, or I don't fool with you, or let's talk about it in 6 months or whatever. Acceptance, I think, is where that place where you have enough clarity to make a decision about what you're going to do next in life, regardless of what type of relationship it is.
At this point, I feel like I could be in a relationship with just about anybody. I could if I'm making what I have going on right now work, I can make anything work, but I would appreciate so much more to have something different, you know?
Right.
Like a mutual whatever.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. What was the other topic? Wait, where are we at?
We were going to talk about 46. We were going to talk
events.
About, the events. So that's enough on the
life stuff.
Yeah. We may come back to it one day. Start talking a little more. Maybe I'll share something about polyamory one day.
Okay.
What that looks like. Anyway, so our events, our next event, your next event. I say our events, but I'm really I'm just really here to help play a part, you know? Like, I feel like these are all really her events, all of them. Even if I'm making canvases, that's her event. The only reason I make canvases is because Renata was like, Kanita. So my artist, this is her voice.
This is a different voice for me. This is the one where she's not mad at me.
So my artist council, do you think you could try to see if you can do these images? I'm like, sure.
She's like, how's she know I could draw?
Right. Now here I am walking around with a backpack. I got a backpack with all my drawing stuff. I got my drawing book out, my drawing pad, my pencils and my stuff, and all the images that I want to create in here. And now everywhere I go, I feel like this is Renata's fault. She has increased the number of bags of things I have to carry with me.
How?
Because she asked me to draw a canvas for her one time, and then it's just turned into something totally different. Now I'll have found a way I'm like, ooh, so my candle business is changing. It's going to be about art and candles and anything creative so that I can make it all one. But it's her fault. It's not a bad thing.
It's my fault that she got back into her love of art.
It is.
And I'm not mad. That feels good. Like when you lose, I'm going to lip hit the dang. When you lose like motivation for your art and then you find it again. And I'm saying that because I'm in a space where I'm trying to be like, when was the last time I wrote something? And now I'm feeling guilty because I hear D'Angelo in my head, but he can't be in my, because I know he ain't wrote nothing either. Well, now that's a lie because of the storytelling event. He is writing and he's taking it seriously because he asked me some questions and I'm like, when was the last time I wrote something? I mean, I write like I'll write verses here and there, but when was the last time I wrote like a poem? And yeah, I don't think I can be on my own storytelling show since there's a competition. But what I might do is force myself to write on the topic too.
Because you're going to be hosting a little bit, right?
Only if there's poets and D'Angelo's in the show. Because I could easily be like, D'Angelo, there's poets. You need to be on the poet side. I'm only doing this because D'Angelo's on it. And at first I was just going to ask Dooley to do it. And then D'Angelo was like, I really feel like since it's 2 comedians and it's 2 poets and there's Dooley hosting, you should be hosting too. And I was like, I hate you, because it made sense. And I'm mad because I'm not a host. And I keep telling people that and they don't listen to me. None of them. I was telling Dooley the other day, I was like, I'm not a host. I'm not funny. He said, no, but you are. And I was like, no.
You're not supposed to say that.
What is with people disagreeing with me? Like, this is just, it's hard for me to hear. But, like, it made sense. But I went on like a tangent that went from one thing to another, but we'll go to this. So the next event is November 16th from 7:30 to 9:30, and as in be there before 7:30 because we start 7:30 sharpish.
7:30 sharpish.
And so the premise of the show is there's 2 teams. Everybody gets one topic to write on. Each person writes their own individual story, but if there is a competition at the end, it's more like, Apollo style, like, make noise for this team, make noise for that team. There'll be 3 of them because they're quarterly, and then we'll move into the 4th show, and the 3 teams or whatever will face off against each other and get the bigger little trophy thing, because they do get a trophy. I gotta find it.
Okay.
Because everything's packed up. Not that I lost it. But yeah, they get a trophy at the end, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. So it's a storytelling show. Like, just because you're a comedian doesn't mean that you have to get up there and make it a funny story, or you're a poet, you ain't gotta get up there all deep. You're a singer, you don't have to sing. However you want to convey your story is fine. But I'm super excited since it's a Saturday. Marlon's DJing that allows G to be able to be on the show. So the comedians are G and Dahlia, and the poets are D'Angelo and Cachet. And then Dooley and I are hosting, which means Kenitha's going to be on drink tickets.
You see how she told me my job? Right now. I just found out. Right now. And that's okay.
This is what we do in the collective. We'd be like, so this person's doing this and this person. That's how the other day, I got signed up to do a link tree in the moment. I didn't know I was offering, but Dooley was like, I would love for you to do that for us. And I was like, oh.
That's what happened when you make suggestions.
Right. I should just shut up.
No. It's helpful.
Yeah. But I mean, we all do I won't say do a lot for each other like that, but I mean, we all are willing to do whatever for each other. So it's a nice little mix of folks. But yeah, so storytelling show. It's going to be super exciting.
What do we have after that?
I confirm that G's not writing.
He's not ready?
Writing. Ready, yeah.
For the storytelling show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be off the dome?
Yeah.
That's kind of how he works.
Yeah, but I figured it would be anyway. But he's good in that arena. D'Angelo, I'm sure he's with a feather pen and his glasses and his cup of coffee writing a dissertation.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we got coming up. November 16th. So if you want to find out about that event, you got to hit up Renata.
La Libra the Artist on Instagram. All the stuff is posted there. All the stuff that we're doing.
And so this weekend this last weekend, Thursday on Halloween, we attended the Acting a Fool comedy show. And it was their first show. And it was really good.
It was really good.
And my Bo Blast came down from Tacoma. And I think whoever was with him did the recording. Did you see the little clip that they put on Instagram? It was like a bunch of pictures from the event. And I was like, ooh,
Cinnamon.
Is that her name? I don't know.
With the blonde locks.
Yes.
The one who was like, can I take a picture of y'all? I didn't know that's who that was until afterwards. So she's who I am to G. She's to Bo.
Okay.
In Tacoma. That's how they described it to me.
All right. That makes sense. Because, she was on it. And I was like, ooh, I love all the clips and videos. And I hope to get to the point where I could do that or feel comfortable enough with social media that I can help be that.
Yeah.
Because I really like working during the events. Like, I like to be there. But y'all should have seen me on Friday. Friday, we try to go out sometimes. And she had said Friday morning, she was like, I'm not doing Midnight Mike tonight. She said this in the morning on Friday. Done. And then later, she was like, I'm going to G's show. I'm like, oh, okay. It's at Funhouse.
That
it's
was
at
10, not
It's at
midnight.
10. And I was like, oh, okay. In my mind, I was like, she said she wasn't doing Midnight Mike tonight. But okay, so now I'm like, oh, I think I'll go to his show. Let me see what I could do. Now I had a day, a whole day, a long ass day. And I thought I had a free day because the kids didn't have no school, at least the older ones who go to high school. They didn't have no school because they in PPS. But they had a field trip Friday night. And I was like, okay. G had apparently planned on dropping him off, but I planned on dropping him off, and we don't communicate, so that's our problem. And so while he's like, all right, y'all ready? And I was like, how he just gonna hijack my job?
Yeah.
You know, because I had a whole plan. I'm gonna take the girls. I'm gonna drop G off at basketball practice. I'm gonna take the girls and drop them off, and then I'm gonna take Mayana all the way to North Portland, Auntie Linda's house, and drop her off, and then I'm free.
Yeah.
But then they got to be picked back up after the soccer game they're going to. So I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna stay over in Portland for a couple hours and find something to do until they're ready, and then pick them up and take them home. And I'm like, okay, then maybe I can go with Renata to G show. Like, I'll go to G show tonight. But initially I hadn't planned on going nowhere because that's a long day. But then Lil G was like, Mom, can I go to the game with them? And I was like, sure. Now it was supposed to be one kid going to the game. And then she asked if there was a free ticket. So then my other daughter went. So the two girls went. They both go to the same school. It was like, okay, cool. She was going on behalf of a committee that she signed up for in school. So she's a part of some team. And this was like a team outing. And so she got a second ticket. And then she asked for a third ticket to see if Lil G could go. And it turned out that they were the only 3 kids that went to the event. So they went with some lady to this soccer game. And so he didn't go to practice. So now I changed. It was like, okay, well, I'll drop all 3 of y'all off together at Jeff. And then I'll take Mayana to Auntie Linda's. And then I'll come back, sit at Ray Ray's house or whatever, wait, and get done. So when I was like, well, you know what? I don't have to take them home. I'll leave them at Ray's and go to G's show. And then I'll come back and pick them up and take them home. But I thought, somebody was going to show up. And she was tired. And so when I was there, y'all should see the videos. I was recording. I was falling asleep. And I kept putting my phone down. And I'm recording the show. I'm recording all the comedians going up there. It was a tell me your problem. So people put on a piece of paper their problem. Yeah. And then the comedian had to get up there and solve all the different problems. So, it was at random. And I literally kept falling asleep. I was like, I kept wanting to put my phone down. Like, why the fuck am I holding this?
And then tripod.
I'm recording the whole time. Right. And I have one that holds my phone, and I sure don't be thinking because I'm not used to it yet. But I need to put all that stuff in the car so I could just set up and fall asleep at a show and be okay. When Renata don't show up.
I fell asleep at home before the show instead of falling asleep at the show.
That's okay.
That's my bad. I woke up like, ooh. Like, oh.
I'm all holding the table for 4, and I'm like, people are going to show up. Like, nobody showed up. Okay, I'm going to give up the table. I'm going to just sit. I told her, G didn't even see me. He didn't know I was there recording. I recorded him, and after he got done, I was like, I'm out. Bye. I'm going to get the kids. I'm going home because I'm so tired. I'm too tired for this. I think that's a big part of my problem. Like, I would love to go to everything that he does, but I need some attention when I'm there. I need somebody to be there to keep me occupied, because otherwise I'm going to fall asleep because I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm tired at 10 o'clock and it's past my bedtime. And especially if I ain't getting no nap, I have a hard time when it is dark outside. It's time for me to close my eyes.
Yeah. Those are the rules. If it's raining outside, it's time for me to close my eyes. If it's cold outside, it's time for me to close my eyes. If it's not summer, good part of spring, I feel like I should be hibernating. It's too cold, it's too dark, it's too wet.
Like, So I need a sidekick to do that. But I wouldn't mind going to all his shows and recording and getting more footage of him. I would love to help him in that way because I know that he needs that. So I'm gonna try, but that just means I need, somebody.
Okay. Well, then I can't go. You can't let me go home
to figure out what to do with their life so they can stay awake.
Okay. Because when she's at home and she sits down on her bed, she also falls asleep. It's just been me more so lately. But before, it was her every single time. I'm calling her, "What you doing?" But there was one time where it was like, I feel like I low key was so sleepy. I was like, I'm just going to let her sleep. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to fall asleep too. That's when Renata kept being like, "Mom, aren't you supposed to be?" Yeah. And I was like, guys, like, anything will come out here when she ready.
It's like, why you let me sleep?
Because I wanted to sleep.
I'll be mad.
I think subconsciously.
I'll be mad, but not mad at the same time. Like I feel like there was 2 times this week I fell asleep fully clothed. The only thing I didn't have on was my shoes in my bed. Yeah. And I'm like, see, I don't do that. I normally get home, I take my pants off, my jacket off, my hoodie off. I'm as basic as it gets, and I lay in the bed. It's like, let me lay here for 20 minutes. I don't care. Right. I just want to, it feel like it's grounding myself. Like I might as well be outside in the grass laying down. Like, let me just sit down and be quiet and let it go. And then I know I got to get up and take you to practice. And then I got to get up and pick up the girls. And then I got to pick you back up from practice and maybe think about going shopping. I mean, this is a daily thing, right?
I went grocery shopping yesterday and I just feel like that shit's trash. I hate the grocery store. You know why? Because I used to like to go grocery shopping at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody was in there. You just go get whatever you need to get and get out. And now I'm going to piggyback on her anger issues with the registers. They be one register open and they're like, oh, you can go to self-checkout. I don't want to go to self-checkout. I also don't want to be in this line that's all the way down 4 aisles either. I was so mad. And then the other day, I was on the phone. I was sitting there livid because they had 2 lanes open. I get up there. Well, before that, this lady gonna try and smile and point and try and cut me. It's like, you gotta be out your goddamn mind if you think you about to cut me and I didn't wait in this line. And I get up there and the man was like, I'm closing after her. I've been in this line 10 minutes. You are not closing after her. I don't care what you're talking about. And then I was talking to Kenitha. I was talking all kinds of head. And the man was like, well, I get off in 5 minutes. And I was like, ugh. I go and find me another line, which is fine. The chick behind me ran over there, so she beat me over there. But I was like, whatever, I don't care. Get in line. And there's this man. He has 2 cartons of eggs. And he about north of 80, somewhere north of 80. And he just sitting there all just looking at the line like, oh my God. And then looking at self-checkout like, I don't know what to do over there. And I was like, sir, you can go ahead of me. You know, you only got 2 things of eggs. And then she looked and she also got a cart full of groceries. She's like, no, you can go ahead of me too. And then she's all, look at you being nice while you all in the middle of being mad. Because I was angry. But why was I telling the story?
I don't know, but I remember it and I was cracking up because she was for real mad.
Because I went to the grocery store. I hate the grocery store. That's why I was
trying to help change her mind. I was like, think about this. I don't remember what I suggested.
None of it was working though. I wanted
but it
to
did.
be
But after she was nice to the man, I was like, okay, you ain't that mad because you ain't that mad and you've been waiting in that line for 15 minutes. And then you wouldn't let somebody cut you, even though you've been at the store for 25 hours.
Yeah. Renata and I went to the grocery store last night and it felt like it just took 9,000 years. The fastest part was the man checking us out, which is crazy. He was super fast, but his line was super long. Then, at the store we went to, you got to bag your own groceries. And Renata's sitting here I'm like, you're move. Because you're putting stuff with stuff that don't go with stuff. You just throwing stuff in the bag. You not trying to, we need to Tetris this into the cart so we can Tetris it into the car. So when y'all take it out, because I'm not taking nothing out. I just went grocery shopping and put the stuff up. It's easier for y'all. And it was exhausting, but it wasn't as many people for being like the first or the second or whatever it was. It wasn't as many people as I thought it was going to be.
Because everybody going to be shopping at the end of the month this time.
Right.
Because it's November.
Oh, maybe I should get November groceries.
Actually, I won't say me and G. We're about to do our gyms in a second. But last night, G was talking about going back on his vegan kick. And I was like, I'll join you. But I changed my mind. I don't want to do vegan.
You should do
I don't want to be vegan. I'll do vegetarian, though. And which I have a hard time because when I get hungry, I'm just gonna eat. Like, I don't have things I don't eat. I mean, certain things maybe I don't like how it tastes, but like, I'm not allergic to anything, and I like food. And if I know it tastes good, I'm gonna eat it.
Right.
And so I try not to do restrictions or diets or things like that because of that. I know when I get hungry, I'm just gonna eat. Like, I'm not gonna think about any of that. But I agreed. Oh, okay. But I was like, why November? Why would you choose to go vegan or vegetarian in November? It's just Thanksgiving.
Because a lot of people do a lot of like, no shave November, no nut November,
no meat November is what he said.
Yeah, it's a lot of things November.
Well, anyway, so I'm gonna try.
It wasn't one of those times he made us a bunch of meat and he wasn't on meat. Was that Mother's Day?
Yes, maybe.
I remember one of those times he was out there, and
he does that actually quite often. I think once a year or once every 2 years, maybe he'll go on a vegan or a vegetarian kick where he won't eat meat because meat is so easy, but you got to think outside the box when it's not. But I'm like, I've been on my salad and soup kick, so I'm cool. I think I could just start prepping. But anyway, that's my goal. All right, we're passing an hour, so we need to leave our gyms.
What's your gym?
My gym. Give yourself time to grieve and, try not to speed through the process. I think those feelings are good for you. And just realize, at least for me, it was like when I'm acting out a character, I had to sit and ask myself questions like, what the hell is happening with me that I am doing this? Because this ain't like me, but I feel very compelled to be mean as I can be. And then I had to really sit down with that. Like, why am I being mean? And think about it and realizing that, grief is not something that just happens in a day or a week or within the first month or something of a situation. I think almost 2 years into this situation and I'm like, I'm angry, but realizing that there's no time limit on when grief hits you and just giving you space to process and having some compassion for yourself, I think is necessary in that. And and being honest with yourself. So make space for that.
My gym kind of intertwines with yours. I was going to say, or I am going to say, for those of you who are like us and like to process your emotions mentally, to make them make sense before you allow yourself to feel them, that's not, I mean, it works to a degree, right? It can help you make decisions and things like that, but you're not getting to the core of what you're feeling when you don't allow yourself in that messy space that makes people like us uncomfortable. You get to that point faster when you just allow yourself to feel the feelings. And I think it also, like I've always prided myself on being able to see all sides of a story, but I think feeling my feelings more often than processing them mentally has allowed me another level of compassion for people. Because one of the things, like I can understand all things if it makes sense, right? But like if you're crying and I can't pinpoint why, that usually is a state of confusion for me because I'm like, just walk me to the point where this was arisen to the level to where it brought you to tears because I don't see why you're crying. But it doesn't matter because it's not me. It's not my experience. Right. I might not cry about that, but it's like the same difference. Like if you see an adult crying about something that doesn't make sense to you, you might see a 2-year-old drop a cup. You wouldn't cry about dropping a cup, but that's where they are in life. That was too much for them and they're crying about it. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's stupid. It doesn't make sense that you're crying because you dropped a cup. You'd be like, oh, this is what we can do. Let's pick up the cup. Let's, wipe up whatever, if that's even a thing. So I think just allowing yourself to feel the feelings so you can, well, for me, it's so I can better connect with people on a more compassionate level. I feel like I'm compassionate, but there's an asterisk. Like it has to make sense for me to be compassionate. I don't think that's nice. Like on some level, I just feel like that's not it shouldn't just have to make sense for me to be like, oh, they're there. No, like, I'm going to offer you this, reassurance or whatever it is you need while you're going through what you're going through.
When you need it.
Because I understand that's your experience and it's okay. Even if normally I might think it's stupid.
Right. Even if I don't understand.
It has nothing to do with me. It's deep for you. Yeah. And that's all that matters.
And I care about your feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't look like it.
Deep down, though. You're like, the fuck?
Right.
The hell did they cry? Your inside voice is like,
trying to get her commentary down because she's like, the fuck you crying for? Get up.
I do that all the time. I'll be like, with the kids sometimes. I'll be like,
why are you crying?
Right. Like, what? Is that deep? Why is it that, and I have to stop sometimes because I'll be like, it's not me. They got feelings. Their feelings is different than mine.
Yep.
They may be a little more sensitive, and that's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I should not be judgmental in this moment.
I just be with mine. I'm like, can you please tell me how you got here? Because then, so later on, it'll make sense to me. And I'm like, when you intellectualize everything, especially your emotions, it really, I'm starting to see what people say when they're like, it doesn't seem like you care. It doesn't seem like it matters. I'm like, it does. I told you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I promise I'm not a robot. But you said blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So blah, these are the next rational steps.
This makes sense to me. I think that's another topic, how our brain works and how people perceive how we, anyways. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll put that on the list of things.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys found our conversation today interesting.
Yes.
And if you got something to add, please leave some comments, check in with us. And our upcoming episodes should be really interesting. So make sure you check back in. Yeah. Good. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on Talk to Them, where every story counts.
Have a good one.
Yeah.